Welcome back everyone to episode 12. Today we're gonna talk about Genesis 1 verse 12. And the earth brought forth grass, herb yielding seed after its kind, and tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after its kind. And God saw that it was good. So as always, in the Zohar framework, Genesis 1 verse 12 is not just a description of botanical growth, but the manifestation of divine energy taking root in physical form. This verse is the fulfillment of God's command in verse 11, revealing how divine intent is realized through the earth, a central mystery of co-creation, spiritual reproduction, and the structure of the tree of life. First phrase we have, and the earth brought forth. Earth responds to divine command. So for the first time in the Torah, creation actively responds to God's word. The Zohar emphasizes earth, symbolizing Malkuth, receives divine energy from above and manifests it into tangible form. The act of bringing forth indicates the birthing capacity of creation. It is not just a recipient, but a partner in unfolding divine will. This verse demonstrates cosmic obedience, the Shekinah, which is the divine presence, reveals her power to actualize the spiritual potential implanted from above. The second phrase we have grass, herb yielding seed, and the tree yielding fruit. This is the threefold structure of reality. The repetition of three categories of growth aligns with the Zohar's teaching on tiers of spiritual development and dimensions of the soul. First, we have grass, represents basic consciousness, life force energy, or nefesh, the animal soul. It is raw potential, unrefined, but essential. Second, we have herb yielding seed. This reflects ruach, the emotional, spiritual dimension associated with intention, passion, and motivation. These herbs yield seed, symbolizing actions that carry inner intention, like prayer or mitzvot, infused with kavanah, which is focused spiritual intent. Third, we have tree yielding fruit, symbolizes neshama, the divine soul that bears fruit, spiritual realization, teaching, and creative influence. Fruit-bearing trees represent actions or souls that not only grow but nourish others and replicate their essence. Thus, the Zohar reads these three as metaphors for divine consciousness descends into the world through three layers of soul and action. The third phrase we have after its kind, whose seed was in itself. This represents integrity and spiritual lineage. The Zohar places deep importance on the phrases after its kind and whose seed is in itself. These indicate cosmic order and spiritual integrity. Each creation must reproduce true to its essence, no mixing, no spiritual confusion. Everything carries its own internal spark, its inner seed, which contains its potential future. The Zohar teaches this applies to humans too. Every soul is born with a seed of divine purpose, unique to its kind. Only by remaining authentic to that spiritual root can one fulfill their destiny. It also hints at spiritual transmission, that sages, teachings, and mitzvot must preserve the purity of their resource as they spread through time. So the earth as a reflection of the divine feminine. The earth in this verse is not passive dirt. It is Shekinah, the divine feminine, the Sephirah of Malkuth. She receives divine light from the upper Sephiroth and gives birth to form, structure, and multiplicity. The earth's generative act is symbolic of cosmic fertility, creativity, and manifestation. The phrase brought forth aligns with Bina, understanding, channeling into Malkuth, forming the lower realms through a sacred flow of light, becoming matter. This mystical dynamic is often described as the unification of Tiferet, from Zeir Anpin, the Holy One, and Malkuth, a central theme in the Zohar's view of spiritual healing and divine service. The next phrase we have, and God saw that it was good, the return of divine harmony. The phrase kitov, which means it was good in English, it returns again here, affirming that the earth's obedience to the divine command was complete and harmonious. This goodness is not merely aesthetic or functional. It signifies spiritual alignment between higher intention and lower manifestation. In contrast to day 2, which lacked the kitov, in English it was good, due to incomplete division. Day 3 is doubly good because this appeared in both verses, on verse 10 and verse 12. Because it reconciles boundaries and births generative life. So in the Zohar's eyes, this is the healing of division through fruitfulness and proper order. So next we have human parallel. This is planting and manifesting divine seed. The Zohar sees this verse as a blueprint for human spiritual activity. Each person must cultivate their inner soil, their inner heart and soul, to allow divine seed to grow. Actions done with holiness and consciousness are seeds sown in the spiritual realms that eventually bear fruit, invisible blessings, soul elevation, and future generations. Just as earth was called to bring forth, so too we are called to actualize the divine within us through mitzvot, learning, love, and integrity. So Genesis 1 verse 12, through the lens of the Zohar, reveals the spiritual fulfillment of divine command. The earth is no longer passive, but becomes a co-creator, birthing life in response to God's word. 3 categories of vegetation, grass, herbs, and fruit trees, represent increasing levels of soul expression, from raw life force to intentional deeds, to divine souls and teachings that bear fruit and nourish others. Each grows after its kind and with seed in itself. A mystical metaphor for spiritual authenticity and the inner spark of divine purpose within every creation. The earth here symbolizes Malkuth, the divine feminine, receiving light and manifesting it into structured life. This act reflects the sacred union between divine energy and material reality. The return of "and God saw that it was good" phrase confirms the harmony of this moment, creation responding with perfect alignment. So for us, the message is clear. We, like the earth, must receive, cultivate, and bear fruit. We carry seed within ourselves, which is our divine mission. When we express it with integrity, we fulfill the cosmic pattern laid out in this verse. True goodness arises when our inner world reflects divine order and our actions yield sacred fruit, nourishing others and aligning heaven with earth. That's it for today. Thank you for your donation. Be blessed, everyone, and I will see you on the next episode.